Former Massachusetts Governor Deval is now running in the Democratic primary for president and joins us now. Thanks for coming on. It's good to see you.
I'm glad to be here. Nice to see you.
The last few national polls, this is not going to be a surprise to you.
Polls.
They've got you under 1% right now. The last few ones do. I know you got in late, but why haven't you resonated more at this point?
Well, first of all, I don't think the polls are the measure. I think, first of all, I am personally skeptical of polls. If I had relied on polls, I never would have been governor, not the first time or the second time. Why it is we are so obsessed with polls when we had the 2016 outcome, notwithstanding those polls, I'm not sure. But we're doing the work, and we're doing it at the ground. We're talking to people. We're listening to people. I've done, I don't know, 20, 30 events in just the last few days. We'll be doing 35 more in the 6 days after we're back from our next trip to South Carolina. And it's brick by brick, person by person, signature by signature, volunteer by volunteer.
Are you too late? We're only 2.5 weeks from Iowa.
You know, it's interesting. Most of the people I meet and most of the polls you see show an overwhelming number of people who are undecided. And when I meet people who ask me that question, I often say to them, you know, have you decided? And they say no. And I say, well, I'm not too late for you. You know, as I say, we're making the case.
On MLK Day, you unveiled a set of proposals for equity for Black Americans, and that includes reparations for the living descendants of slaves. What exactly is the proposal? Well,
it's first of all, I make the point, and I believe it strongly, that reparations without reconciliation is meaningless. I'm not talking about, nor am I interested in just trying to figure out the numeric current value of 40 acres and a mule. I'm trying to have us confront some of our unfinished business, our history that we don't know, what Reconstruction was about, how it was so systematically undone, what the propaganda campaign was in the aftermath of it. There's so much about the state of current circumstances facing African Americans that has its roots in choices that we made then and have been making since. And I think it's important that we all understand that, not as a kind of a, you know, guilt-tripping thing, but that we simply understand our origins and our interconnectedness.
But how do you see that working in real terms, given that there are some Americans who are descended from both slaves and slave owners?
That's right.
How do you deal with a case like that?
Well, it's not about dealing with a case like that. It's about explaining that there is that we have that connection. You know, I am the descendant of slaves and slave owners. I myself in Kentucky, and most of us, or many of us, have storylines like that we don't fully understand, and it contributes, I think, or can, to a greater sense of understanding. So that when we are investing in closing achievement gaps, when we're investing in public education generally, when we're investing in infrastructure that reaches communities that have been left out and left back, that folks understand that that's a priority because we're trying finally to level the playing field and reach the talent we know resides in every single community in America.
Where do you stand on Medicare for All?
So interesting you ask it that way, because that's become a slogan that means a lot of different things to a lot of different
places. It does mean a lot of different things, but for, say, for instance, the proposal from Senator Bernie Sanders, where do you stand on that?
I'm not there. I think the next step for us should be a public option. And the reason, and by the way, from my perspective, that public option could well be Medicare. But the reason I get there is because my experience here in Massachusetts is that there is a value in having creative tension. And when I project out nationally, I think the idea of having the insurance industry figure out, and they surely will, some way to compete for all the folks who will move to that no-cost or low-cost public option is a good thing in terms of added pressure to bring system costs down. And frankly, I think there's a value on the public side as well as having in having that kind of creative tension to innovate on the Medicare side, because frankly, if you're eligible for Medicare, and you can, most people today, Liam, will buy a supplemental policy on top of Medicare because Medicare doesn't get the job done.
It's interesting, before you use the phrase creative tension, and I think during your time as governor of Massachusetts, some people would say you had a contentious relationship, that there was a fair amount of that tension with the state legislature.
Yeah.
Those were mostly Democrats and Democratic lawmakers. Should that raise doubts about your ability to manage even people from the same party.
You know, it's so interesting. It's as if somehow the measure of success is getting along instead of getting stuff done. The legislature, God bless them, gave me 95% of what I asked for. Rarely when I asked for it, and rarely in the form I asked for it, but we got there.
The race is shaping up, the presidential race between the progressives, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and then the moderates, Biden, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, for instance. I know you don't necessarily like this question, but where do you fall in that spectrum? Because voters are trying to decide, is he generally going to align with me? Because I'm not going to know exactly where he stands on every single thing.
Yeah. I think, first of all, voters, they understand people don't fit in a box. Increasingly, I think a moderate in this cycle is a progressive who actually gets stuff done. And I've gotten stuff done. You know, in partnership with the legislature, 99% of our residents have health insurance today. We have a national model response to climate change with our participation in the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, closing the remaining coal-fired power plants, the statewide Resilience and Recovery Plan, the Green Jobs Act, the generation of so much more solar and wind sourcing for our electricity. You know, criminal sentencing reform, job creation, 25-year job high coming out of recessions. Everybody has plans. We have results.
Governor Deval, Patrick, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you, Liam.
Thank you.
You be well.